Hey, yoga teacher. If we haven't met before, my name is Nick Denu, and I have a question for you. Is your yoga business built on a house of cards? If you've never heard of a house of cards, Google it. House of cards are literally made from playing cards. So a lot of us as yoga professionals built our businesses as houses of cards. So I'm going to get into an analogy about that in just a moment. But before I do, if we haven't met before, my name is Nick Denu. And I am a yoga therapist. I work with the general public. I'm also a yin yoga teacher trainer and a yoga business mentor. And I have been teaching yoga for, at the time of this recording, almost 20 years. And I started my business all on my own, just like we all do. And then over that 20 years, about 3 years in, having sort of a, fall to my knees moment of thinking, how in the hell am I going to be able to do yoga for a living and actually feed myself? That's a video for another time. And started really exploring the business side of yoga, which none of us were taught in our teacher training. That's just a brief bit about me. And I love working with yoga teachers because I believe that yoga changes the world. And I know that some people roll their eyes when they hear that, but I truly believe that that is the case. That when you can help your students heal and become more grounded and more centered and kinder humans, that they then go out and are more nice to their partner and kind to their neighbor. And this has a ripple effect. And I believe that the more yoga teachers that are out there doing that work in a way that sustains them, so they don't have to quit teaching yoga, then the more that ripple effect happens. Because you see, I can only reach a small group of people. I can only teach so many students. But if I can help you with your business and improve the way that your business is running based on what I've learned from my rubber to the road school of hard knocks and a whole bunch of online courses as well. If I can help you with your business, now you've got your community, and then that community is nurtured, and then that sends out the ripple effect, and so on and so on and so on and so on. So this is why I help teachers with their yoga business. So that's a brief bit about me before we get into a house of cards. Okay, a house of cards. So a house of cards is literally just playing cards, kind of stacked together to try to make the shape of a house. And for most of us, this is what we've done when we finished our first teacher training program, because most of us did not have any business knowledge in our first teacher training program. We might have learned a little bit about Yoga Alliance or some insurance or something like that, but they certainly didn't teach us how to actually build a business, especially if you want to have a business that's sovereign, that goes outside of the studio model. So we don't learn this. So of course you don't know it unless you had a previous business experience, which I did, luckily. But even then, I still built a house of cards at the beginning. The problem with the house of cards is there's no stability there. There's no intentionality there. It's not strong. It's not stable. It's not sovereign. And so one card pulled, the whole thing tumbles. So what I would propose is that instead of a house of cards that most of us have built for our business, just kind of haphazardly throwing stuff together, that maybe we should build like a good, solid house for our yoga business with a strong foundation, awesome materials that we're building from, so that it can weather the storms and so that it's sovereign. So we have this beautiful, solid, sovereign house that is our yoga business. How's that sound? So let me tell you how I envision this house. First thing first, we need a good foundation, right? You have to have a solid foundation, or you can build a house in a field without a foundation, but it's definitely not going to be weatherproof. It's not going to stand up over time and over the years. And to be honest, people might not really want to come over. Like your ideal clients might not want to come over because it doesn't really look safe. It doesn't really look stable. Okay, so first we need a foundation. So we're going to get a solid foundation. The solid foundation in your business house is your niche. And some of you might be rolling your eyes, or you might be like, oh, but I don't have a niche. It's okay. You don't have a niche. And if you're rolling your eyes because you're like, niching again, I keep hearing about this niching business. Here's the thing. Most yoga teachers either don't understand what a niche is, don't have a niche, and this is why they struggle. They struggle because they don't know who they are speaking to and what they help them with. So your niche isn't just a style of yoga. Your niche is not a demographic. It's not women or men. Now that might inform your niche, but it's not your niche. Your style of yoga that you love to teach might be a tool in your tool belt when you're getting ready to build your house. It's one of the hammers you have. It's one tool, but it is not your niche. It's just a tool. So how do we figure out a niche? Well, this is something that I love to help teachers with, because I'm going to tell you a little secret. You already have a niche. It's hiding in your heart. And the reason that you have so much trouble figuring out what your niche is because we're all up in our heads about it. So what I like to do and what I do with you is I give you a whole bunch of, we get out a journal, got a whole bunch of soulful prompts that I walk you through. We set a timer and we just write and write and write. And you may even do that a couple times. And then what you start to see are patterns where you're like, oh, okay, well, this is what I love to do. This is who I love to help. This is how I see the world. And that then becomes your niche. So your niche is already hiding in your heart. And if you're having trouble finding it, I will help you unearth it. Okay, so niching, foundation of the house. Because if you do not know who you serve and what you help them with, then you're trying to talk to everybody. You're just like throwing spaghetti at the wall and hope that it sticks. And I'll just blast this out on social media and hope people show up to my class. It's not effective at all. So the foundation is the niche. Once we've got our niche clear, now we get to build our main floor, right? So we're going to build our main floor. The main floor of your house is your website. And the front door is your homepage with the little welcome mat out front. And when you have a great website, then you will invite in the right people for you. And they will know that they are the right people for you by the words on your homepage, on your front door. They will read that and they will either go, oh my gosh, how did they know? Or they'll be like, no, not for me. And they'll go to the next house, which is great because we only want to work with the people that are really good fit for us personally. So here we go. You got your foundation, you've got your main floor of your house. This is your website. Front door and welcome mat is your homepage. So let's say you've gotten clear on your niche. You've got this front door that's, speaking to your people. You've got the main floor of your house figured out. Now what you're going to do is you're going to invite people in. They're at your front door. They really like what you're up to. You're going to open the door and you're going to say, hey, come on in. Remember, the door is your homepage, the very first page they land on. So if they're interested, you're going to open the door and you're going to say, hey, come on in. Can I take your coat? Do you want some tea? Kick off your shoes. Here's a comfy couch you can sit on. Do you want to hang out for a while? You can rest here. So you then have an opportunity to give them the tour of the main floor of your house, right? So this would be your other web pages, your About Me page, your philosophy page, or why you do what you do page, if you've got one. If you don't worry, we can work with that. Your services page. So you've brought them into your home, the front door of the homepage acting like a buffer to only invite in those that are a good fit. They've come in, they've kicked off their shoes, they've got a tea, their coat is hung up, they're feeling comfy, they're digging it, they're jiving with the place. There's a rapport, there's a vibe. And now you decide to show them upstairs. right? Because we're not going to bring everybody that comes over to our house upstairs. So the upstairs is your email list. So when you say, hey, do you want to see the upstairs? This is your opportunity to get this client who's feels like they're in the right place and is feeling comfy with you. And now you've got a rapport to say, hey, do you want to join my email list? And the upstairs of your house is your email list. Why an email list, not social media? Because you do not own social media. Social media, in a lot of cases, owns us. And so you could be blasting out the most beautiful content in the world, but if Instagram decides not to show it to people, not helpful. Whereas when you have an email list, when people have said, yes, actually, I would like to hear from you more. Now you have an opportunity to nurture that relationship that you've started building downstairs with the tea and the slippers and the comfy couch. Now you can say, hey, do you want to hear more from me? I have these things that could really help you. Would you like those delivered in your inbox? And you get them on your email list. And then from there, once they're on your email list, you have an opportunity to grow that relationship, to build what they call in marketing circles that know, like, and trust factor. You have an opportunity to send them regular content that's helpful to them and what they need help with. And you know what that content is because you know your niche. You know your strong, solid foundation. So now there aren't these questions of, what free gift should I give them from getting on my email list? Oh, how often should I email them? I don't know what to email them. What do I even say? All of this becomes clear, and I help you with this, becomes clear when you know who you serve, what you help them with, and what your point of view or what makes your business kind of special is, right? When you have those three things, then it's really easy. You're just like, oh, I know my people. They're my friends. I know them. I know that they need something for their back pain, or they need something for anxiety, or they need like a 5-minute break in their day, or whatever it is for your particular people. And so you can send them that, either content of your own, or you can also share content from others. Lots of people think that the only way that you can send out content to your email list is to constantly be creating it yourself. Not the truth. You can share all kinds of other wonderful things with your list. So we get into that as well. So now what do we have so far? House of cards is what most of us have. Not useful. Pull one card out, whole business crumbles. One studio closes its doors, bam, there goes your business. Instead, we're going to be intentional with building our house. We're going to build our house on a solid foundation, which is our niche. When we create the main floor, we're going to have a beautiful front door with a beautiful welcome mat that lets people know if they're in the right place. Then when they ring the doorbell and they come in to the home through the homepage into your home, which is your website, you're going to give them the tour. It might be things like your about page, your services page, your philosophy, things you've written, other content you have, right? They're going to have an opportunity to do the tour of the main floor. And then at some point, you're going to say, if it's still feeling like a good fit, you're going to say, hey, do you want to see upstairs? Upstairs being your email list. The invitation to join your email list so that they can hang out with you more, so that you can send them valuable content to help them. And so that when the time is right, they have an opportunity to join your classes, your workshops, your retreats, et cetera, because you've built a relationship with somebody who you know is in the right spot. And they know that they're in the right spot. And so when you have something to offer them that will help them, if it's a good fit, they're going to sign up. And you're going to be able to actually reach them because you're emailing them instead of blasting stuff all over social media. So right now you might be thinking, okay, but where does social media fit in this? Well, so there's paths that can lead to your house. Let's say you've got a beautiful house in the woods, and you've got a few paths. You've got the front door path. Maybe you've got a side door. You've got a back door. You've got paths that lead all into your home. Social media is one of those paths. It's one of those channels that brings people to your website. But it is not and should not be your primary or only way that you are reaching out to your people. So if you want to use social media, and you do not have to, dear yoga teacher, you do not have to have social media. But if you want to use social media, it's one tool in your toolbox amongst many others, of which I will help you with, many other tools that can bring people to the front door of your house. But it's not the only tool, not even the best tool. So if this is sounding intriguing to you, if you're like, whoa, I do have a house of cards, or I don't have a niche and I really need to, I have a course called Marketing with Heart for Yoga Teachers. It is a 7-week program. And we get together and we start with, what is your foundation? What is your niche? That's what we start with. Then we work on, how do we create a website that speaks to your ideal students so that people know they're in the right place? So we build the main floor of the house, the website. Then from there, we talk about the upstairs, your email list. And from there, with the email list, then once we've got that foundation laid, then we start to talk about all the other things, like, how do we bring people to our house? What are some cheap or inexpensive ways to bring the right people to our front door? And that's what the rest of the course is about. But if you don't have a good foundation on that house, no one's going to want to come in because they think it's going to crash on them. If you don't have a front door with the right welcome mat, then you're just going to invite a bunch of people in, and no one's going to really want to come because they're not really sure if this is the right place for them. And if you don't have an opportunity to invite the right people in, then you don't have an opportunity to get them on your email list, right? Like if you're showing someone the top floor of your house, that's a little more intimate, right? Because bedrooms are up there, bathrooms are up there. So that's sort of a little more like a backstage pass. When they're on your email list, there's a level of rapport and intimacy there that you don't get when they just walked in your front door. And that's what we use our email list for. So if this sounds intriguing to you, if you are like, oh, actually, I need this, here's typically who is great for this program. If you are a brand new teacher and you've graduated not long ago and you realize you've been trying to build a house of cards, you've just been kind of throwing stuff together, throwing spaghetti at the wall, hoping that it sticks, and you really are kind of lost as to even how to build a solid yoga business, definitely this is for you. If you're a yoga teacher who's been teaching for a while, and maybe you've been lucky, maybe you've kind of haphazardly thrown your house of cards together and it hasn't completely tumbled, but you're definitely not getting where you want to be, then this is for you. If you're a yoga teacher and your house of cards has come crashing down due to things like global pandemics, this is definitely a course for you. And then the last person that I would say this is for are those people who teach part-time and have a full-time job, but secretly kind of wish and long to actually just teach yoga full-time, or at least maybe half the time, like maybe more yoga and a part-time job. So if that's you, this is also for you. So if you are any of those people, if this has made sense to you, if this is speaking to you, I would love to have you join. This course at the time of this recording runs every January. It's 7 weeks on Zoom. I'll put the dates and all of that below wherever you see this video. It is recorded as well. So if the times don't work for you because of time zones or you have to miss some of them, that is totally okay. We have a Google Doc for the group where you can add questions in advance if you're not going to be there, and I can answer them on the recording so that you'll get them. So you'll still get all the lectures, you'll still get your questions answered in the recordings. So even if you can't be there live, you can totally still sign up. So it's a 7-week program. It is on Zoom. You will have access to the recordings for 1 year because you probably won't get all this done in 7 weeks, but we'll get a good foundation started depending on where you are in your business, and you'll have the recordings to go back to. So the recordings can act like your little to-do list. You can start here, check. Okay, got this done. Now I did this. Now I did this. So that's my course. It's called Marketing with Heart for Yoga Teachers. It's a 7-week program, starting with the foundation of your yoga home, then the main level, then the upstairs. And then once we have all of that solid, we start to talk about all of the paths that lead onto your property and take your students to your front door. And what are those paths? And I'm all about bootstrapping it and keeping things cheap. So we're not talking expensive Facebook ads, nothing like that. These are simple, old school, tried, tested, and true methods to bring people to you. And we'll go over all of those as well. Okay. If you have questions about this, leave them below. I'd be happy to answer them. And I'll also leave a link to the current dates of the program. And you can check that out. And again, if you can't make it live, totally fine. Lots of people don't make it live or kind of come in and out because of life and teaching schedules and time zones and all the things. You'll have the recordings for a year, and you'll also have a Google Doc where you can submit questions so that I can make sure that I answer them on the recordings for you. Okay, my friends. Dear yoga teacher, before I bid you adieu, please remember to take some time out for yourself. And until I see you next time, may you be well, may you be content, may you be at peace, may you be free, and may you be a force for good in the world.